right, welcome y'all. We appreciate y'all for coming in today. This is Manifestors podcast episode number 9, and we have some very special guests on today. So we can actually go around the room and just introduce ourselves, say our name. I don't know if we want to throw age in there, and just something you enjoy doing.
Profiles.
So we can start with you, Ashley.
So I'm Ashley. I am 30. I currently work as a therapist.
My name is Chanel, and I am a financial analyst. You said something that we like doing?
Yeah, you can throw that in there too.
I like working out.
All right.
My name is Natalia. I work for the city of Detroit, do a little stuff like that. I like to nap. I'm not gonna lie.
That's real. Yeah. Kayla.
My name is Kayla. I work for Rocket, and I am in HR.
My name is Keisha. I'm a doctor. I enjoy spending time with my boys.
All right, so we have a very diverse group on today. Today we're actually talking about relationships. As you can see, we had our past episode where it was from the men's point of view. So today we'll be doing the woman's point of view. So we could jump right into and get the questions in. You feel me? But so how do you feel about 50-50 relationships? We can start with you, Ashley.
So I think that it's a very flawed way of thinking.
Mm.
I feel like when you're in a 50-50 relationship, eventually somebody is going to end up feeling a little bit of resentment towards the other person. So you might feel like this person is carrying, oh, well, I did this, and you didn't do this. And so I feel like eventually you're going to end up disappointed, or you're going to end up resenting the other person. So I don't think that I don't think it works out at all.
How about you, Chanel?
So, I don't agree with the 50-50 relationship mindset. Just as somebody that works in finance and just dealing with numbers, for me to say that I give 50%, no, I'm just saying, because if you think about it, like 50%, right? You're giving 50% to the relationship. I would like for us to both give 100%, and I also feel like there's like, it's kind of like a scarcity mindset to an extent, because you're holding back a part of yourself. Like, you're coming into it thinking that you have to give this amount. You're not coming into it just giving freely or being genuine. And that's just not the way that I want to live my life. In addition to that, I believe in like the yin and yang. So with that being said, the provider and the receiver. And I feel like that can change at different points, but I don't want to be I don't want to have to be a provider and have another provider. And I wouldn't want to be a receiver and the other person is a receiver as well. Like, I feel like there needs to be a balance. Mm-hmm. For me to say that we're both 50-50, we're both providing, I that's not something that I would prefer. Mm-hmm. That depends on the type of person, but personally, like it doesn't work for me. So
okay, all right, that's fair, that's honest. Well, Ashley, you can go back.
Kind of going off what she said, I think it's important to be 100 and 100 in the relationship. So I think like there's going to be days that like I might have 20, and then I might like, hey, I need you to like pour and fill my cup up, the other 80%. So I think that you have to kind of enter into a relationship thinking that like, at some point like my man might, you might be at 40 and I gotta throw in the other 60. So I think kind of entering it like we're both going to kind of pour into each other when the other person isn't, feeling up to par, and instead of being like, no, we just both got to, give in the same type of energy. That's unrealistic, I feel like.
So finances is a part of this discussion too. So 50-50, like,
yeah, that's
so you could, finances also is. So when we ask that question, we're more so trying to ask, energy wise, but also like finances wise too. Like, we putting in half what you doing with your check, well, I'm doing my check, like type of thing. So
that's what I was
how you feeling, Natalia?
I was about to say this is a layered conversation, because usually it's like a twofold. People are talking about finances and what each person should contribute, but also that more emotional piece of like, I step up here, you step up there. I think financially, I think you got to look at like what the person makes, what the debt is, because if I have a partner and at the end of the day, maybe I have no debt. But thinking about like if I had absolutely none, but he had, some, but he made, more or something like that. So, realistically, I would want him to get rid of that debt. So maybe I would take on more of the household things. because at the end of the day, I want us to both be successful as a unit, right?
Yeah.
So that may involve you more so tending to those student loans or whatever, debt that you may have. And so it's about how do we advance as a unit. And so thinking about that, it can't just be 50-50. I may take on more of the household bills because maybe I'm more financially inclined or something changes with our jobs and our incomes. Like, you just have to do what works best for the unit. But I think emotionally, you got to be 100, right? Yeah. Because some days you're going to be sure you're going to come home beat up, and I may only give 70, right? And so your 100 might have to carry us. You know what I'm saying? Because you're whole, and maybe I'm lacking a little bit, but we should strive always to give like 100 or even more than that if we can. But because we have to be realistic that some days we are going to come up short. And I think with that, then it's like, okay, I improv, I help you, I pour into your cup because I got a little bit more, or vice versa. So I think that's more so like that emotional component that we need. But
all right, that's real. That's real. Kayla, how you feeling about this 50-50 situation?
Let me tell you, these ladies, they know, okay? I feel like I'm back in church, like, amen, right? But I'll say this, and I'll start with this. When it comes to relationships, I use the word partnership all the time. So even when I'm speaking on my man, I'm always going to use the term my partner, right? And I say that because in a relationship, that's truly what it is. It's a partnership. So to kind of echo what they're saying, I don't believe in the 50-50 because there are so many variables that can come along with that, right? So it's not a set number. And I don't think it's fair to place a set number on what's needed from you or your partner. But that's when, again, that partnership is successful, is when you can say, hey, okay, again, as Natalia stated, I may not be able to give my 100 today, but I can give 70. Can you give me that 30? You work with me. Yeah. That's a partnership. And now when you take that, I think there's a stigma on what a relationship looks like. But when you put the term partnership, it kind of changes things, So again, I'm not with 50-50, but just in the sense of how it is deemed in our generation of what 50-50 looks like.
Understood.
I definitely agree with what everyone has said. I don't agree with the 50-50. I agree with sometimes I may come short, sometimes you come short, but if we're working as a unit in a partnership, then it doesn't matter, right? So even if you're a high income earner, you may have more debt than like someone else who isn't. So maybe they are more in a financially stable position and they're able to do certain things that you're unable to do. So when you have a partner, you guys can make sure that you're like working together. And so, yeah, I don't agree with the 50-50. I also truly, and this is one thing I learned after, especially like going through a divorce and everything, going through med school and all of that, I feel like you have to be able to fill your own cup. So that, let's say if the other person is coming with 30% after a long day, your cup is full, so you're good. But you're going to make sure that your man is good. You're going to make sure that he, but then it has to be reciprocated too, And I think the biggest thing, in regards to everything that's going on now with social media and stuff like that, women are more independent. We do come, they talk about like, what do you bring to the table? We bring, I mean, like nowadays compared to like our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, we bring a little more financially to the table, but also the other side of it, it doesn't matter like how much you make or how much you actually, like contribute financially. But like if the person's coming back and their cup is empty, your cup is full enough to be able to pour it into their cup. But I want the same energy though, because I work 24-hour shifts. So after work 24-hour shift, if I got to get the kids and do this and do that, but you pour it into my cup because you at 100, I'm at 30. Like again, it goes back to the partnership thing.
But I think what's unique about this panel here is that we are all pretty like established, right? And so I think you will hear a different view from women who are a little less and maybe looking for something a little different. We don't mind picking up the load because we're looking at the success of the unit versus like, hear that girly sometimes. What can he do for me? You know, they not really trying to bring the table. You know, we got the table on lock. Like, what do you have? But I think on the flip side, you know, there are some girlies who like, I mean, I just want to be taken care of. I just want this. I just want that. And maybe not as focused on like, you know, career goals, which to each his own. But not having that base, right? And I think that's different in like that view. So when you have that 50-50 conversation, they're like, no, you need to have it. You need to pay all the bills. You need to check these boxes. And I think it's like a, you know, more archaic type of mindset. But I think for us more modern women, more established women, I think we're okay with like, you know, picking up the low, because it's like, I'm going to do what I got to do anyway. And I think, you know, at the end of the day, and I think once we really care about our person, you know, once we find that person, we're like, yeah, my man. It'd be like, I got you. I mean, what happened? You got me, I got you type of thing. So I don't mind. And especially when you being poured into, I think when you're being loved appropriately, I think it's like, I'll do whatever for you. You know what I'm saying? You fall short, I got you. I'm picking you up. That's fine. So, yeah.
Right. If you're being poured into properly.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't mind giving back, and giving back it just is not emotional. It can be financial as well. Like, okay, you fall short, I got you. Yeah.
But I also feel like that has to come from somebody that's willing to give all of themselves. Yeah. Because it's like, if I come into something and I'm already feeling like you expect me to split everything 50-50 with you, that doesn't give me an opportunity to be my full self and to be able to give my full self. Right. I feel like in like my experience in previous relationships, when I felt like men were so like just everything was based off like financial, meaning like, oh, you want this, you want this, you want this. It didn't make me feel like I wanted to just give unconditionally. So when like, yes, to what you were saying for sure, but that's like somebody who is unconditional with you. And that can't come from that 50-50 mindset. Yeah. That comes from you, both of you coming in and pouring all of yourselves in, because, you know, things change, life changes, people lose their job. You know, I've been in different positions financially. Things are going to change. And then like, you know, as men, I know you all are, you know, in different positions as well. Like y'all go through the same things that we do. So yes, you should pick up the slack for your man, but also, you know, I don't think there should be like that precedent. I don't think that should be set. Yeah. I think you should just come into it just being genuine. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Don't have that expectation. Like what she's saying, like it's one of those things where we're in dating and everything, the moment
someone says like, oh, like you got it, this and the third, like I don't want that. However, the other side, the other side of it, you got big money, right? Big money. Oh my goodness. The big money thing. Because here's the other thing too. Like, okay, so I worked 24 hours yesterday, so that's 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. The guy I'm talking to or whatever, he asked me, was I hungry? He sent me a DoorDash. Now, in other women's eyes, they may be like, oh, it's just little, it's just that. But to me, that spoke volumes, because at the end of the day, I'm working, even though you know I make this much, you're like, you know what, I'm going to make sure she good. So I'm going to send her that, and not even like say nothing about you give this, you give that, whatever. You know what I mean? So definitely.
Shoot, so let's
really
actually
be the little things.
So also those matter. So let's take a little turn then. So if y'all don't mind me asking, what's your current relationship status? And what's your longest existing relationship? You gotta ask. Just so we can see.
I gotta go.
So my ride is here. So Ashley, we can start with you.
Woo, can we get a refill?
Okay, so
you want to go with somebody else?
This wasn't on my question list. Hang on.
This wasn't on the list.
You can honestly say
was
that,
in
though.
like a little situationship, I guess if you want to call it. And that's all I mean. I was in a situationship.
Yeah.
My longest relationship would be 4 years.
Okay.
So
that's it.
My situation of doing.
How about you, Chanel?
I'm single. I'm very single. Probably the most single that I've ever been. But my longest relationship was 3 years.
Okay. Hope you're taking this time to learn about yourself.
I am.
Self-awareness.
I am.
How about you, Natalia?
Say it.
You might as well.
Why is it so much pressure?
I wasn't expecting this question. Hang on.
So I am dating someone. I am single. I am dating longest relationship. I feel like I was the situationship girly. I hate that for me.
Same.
Yeah, that deserves a shot within itself. But so I don't know. It depends on what you're basing it off of.
I mean, whatever you feel like sharing. We ain't trying to dig into your past history or try to put no ghost out the closet. Yeah, we ain't trying to trigger nothing. We're about to have a therapy session right now.
Literally. I mean, maybe like a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kayla, how about you?
Okay, I'm currently in a relationship.
Okay.
We've known each other for 10 years, but like relationship wise, we've been dating for about 2.5, almost 3 years.
Okay. Friends
Longest, longest relationship. I'm a relationship girly. Like, I like to be in relationships. I have a lot of love to give, and I gotta give it to one person, you know?
Right.
So I would say I'm gonna give an average. All right. I would give an average. I would say majority of my relationships, they can go for anywhere from like 2 to 4 years in length.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Keisha?
So I was with my ex-husband. Like, we were friends before I started medical school. And then we got into a relationship in like maybe 2010, 2011. That was through medical school. And then it was some on and off type things or whatnot, even though, my family may have not known or my friends may not have known. So longest, that was the longest person I had been with. So that was when I was 21. I'm 35 now. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa. We love this.
So, Black
don't crack though. Black does not crack.
I'm about to be 30.
All right.
And so it was I guess longest would be a little bit more than like 10 years. What was the other part of the question?
No, it was just the relationship status currently.
I'm single. I'm single and dating. I'm not, and this is what my friends and cousins tell me, like, I'm not for the streets. Everyone talks about this roster. Like, first of all, I barely have time for myself. So I don't have 24-hour shifts. Like, I don't have the time to have like a roster. However, I have so much like love to give. I'm a very giving person. Like, our grandmother taught us to, you show up at different birthday parties and baby showers and everything. You give without expecting anything in return. So I've always been a giver. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I'm single and dating.
Okay. All right. So what's 3 pieces of advice y'all would give to a woman, like, as far as relationships go?
You think we excelled at that? Yeah.
I mean, but based off of your own experiences, I'm not trying to trigger nobody, no traumas or anything, but I'm just saying based off of what you've experienced personally, like, what would you recommend? Like, hey, if this going on, go book, like, time to go. Or is this going on, like, approach this type of situation in this manner? Because it does work. It doesn't work.
So I would say I'm big on developing self-awareness. So I think right now, like, even though I do have a little situationship, I am trying to date and just trying to learn myself. Mm-hmm. I think that, just like as you've experienced different, things in your life, whether that's like toxic relationships or, different trauma that you've had like as a kid, all of that changes and affects like you when it comes to the way that you date. So like, I think just kind of learning like your attachment style, like learning like your love language, your communication needs, and just being really fully like in on you and knowing like what exactly you need for somebody else to love you correctly. So I think that that's something that I've always been big on, is just making sure that like I've developed the self-awareness necessary to like successfully date somebody else. So
okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Chanel?
Okay, so I wrote down a couple things.
No, go ahead. Hey.
Based off my relationships, I've been in 4 relationships. I'm a relationship person as well. I'm just not in one right now. So, with that being said, based off like everything that I've been through, like I sat and I thought like a lot about what I would go back and tell myself, or like what I would tell my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
with this question. So the first thing that I said was to love and respect yourself enough to assert practical boundaries and keep them. And the reason that I said that is because, like, I feel like when you get into a relationship with someone and you love them, sometimes I think that, like, it's easy when you first get with someone to tell them, like, I'm not doing this, or I'm not doing this, or I'm not accepting this. But then once you kind of cross that boundary to where it's like, okay, or like cross that place to where it's like, okay, like, I love this person, and then you hit the I'm in love, it's hard to say no if you, like,
you kind of got to compromise.
like, you want to please the person.
Yeah.
So I find, like, in my experiences, like, just because I love someone and they ask me to do something, I would know that, like, I wouldn't do it. Or just, like, just basic boundaries that, like, keep you, like, and keep you, how do I explain this? Like, keep your identity.
Yeah.
Like, things that you wouldn't compromise.
Whatever your core values are, you want to stand silent on
Don't
those.
compromise your core values, because don't lose yourself, for sure. And I feel like it's very easy to do that when you're in love, when you're really in love. It's a difference between loving somebody and being in love. Yeah. So when you're in love with somebody, it's like, you just be like,
You're like, oh,
you want what? Oh, you want me to do what?
I got you, baby.
But like, I feel like subconsciously that does something to yourself. When you're going against yourself, but because you love someone, you give that up. So that's something that's a piece of advice that I would give. Second one, I would say, make sure you don't idolize your partner and have a second life. Fight to keep that, because I think that for me, I have a lot of goals and dreams and things I want to accomplish in my life. And when I was, in a relationship, I've only been in love one time, but when I was in that relationship, it was kind of like, the dreams, the goals, the diligence I have in the things that I'm trying to accomplish in my life, it just kind of went out the window. And I just don't ever want to get to that point again, because I remember thinking, like, ooh, if this is it, I think I might be okay cleaning the house, sitting in the crib and just, like, cooking or doing whatever. But that's not me. That's not me. Like, I got things that I want to accomplish in my life, and I know that. And I know that I wouldn't genuinely be happy not pushing for those things. But I realized it's because I idolized the person I was with, because I just love them that much. And I just don't think that's healthy at this point in my life. But that takes reflection. So the third thing I would say is, set a precedent of love and respect from the beginning, and make it a priority to move in that energy. And as somebody who is, like, I'm very emotional and I'm very passionate, when I'm in my relationships. And with that being said, I got a mouth on me. So with that being said, I feel like there have been times that I have said things just out of anger, and it caused problems, or made comments that I didn't even really mean, or if I've even alluded to things that, like, weren't true, or even, how you say, like, I'll give an example. If you don't do it, somebody else will. Ooh. I've said that. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that's right.
You're right.
But, I'm reflecting, but I'm saying, you're upset in that moment, and you make that comment, and you don't realize how that affects the person that you love. Cause it's like, okay, they probably are thinking, like, I thought we were in this together, or in the sense, like, dang, you would drop me for that, or you got that many options. I don't want nobody to feel like they're insecure, or not secure in themselves, or not secure in our relationship. So I think that if I would have tried to think moving like I was in love, or that I was, or talked like I loved the person, or kept that in the back of my head, then I wouldn't have done that. So those are the things. Yes.
That whole thinking of, I know I'm talking out of turn, but like that whole thinking of, the whole thinking of, you have somebody else and this, that, and third, like social media really, really, really messed that up. So to hear from someone you love that, if you don't do it, someone else will, like, that hurts. Yeah. And the thing is too, when you move on from it, Like there always is like it's still in the back of your head. So no matter what you do, you're still like, well, let me make sure that I'm doing this, I'm doing that, so that because if I don't do it, somebody else will. And that is not healthy. It's not healthy at all.
At all. For real.
You know, I admitted to doing something toxic.
It's growth. It's growth. It's fine.
We're gonna save this. We're gonna save our replies.
Save the rebuttal.
Another episode.
I kind of want to chime in before I get my 2 cents. I will say, like with the social media, like because we have the world literally in our hands, we can access everybody in the world. And so it makes you think like, okay, well, if this don't work, then I could talk to Shorty in Texas. I could talk to Shorty over there. And it just seems like it's abundance. It's that abundance mindset versus like, you know, everybody, when people come with their flaws, it's like, okay, that's small, minute. We can work on that. Like you have a, you know, not so, I don't know, direct communication style or something like that. Something that can be worked on. But anywho, and I think before I segue into that, I think for me, I only date Black men. So I'm really intentional when it comes to Black men and like the things that I say, because I know that historically there is some trauma there. So like things like you said, not to put you on the spot, but like just kind of being self-aware, because it goes through my mind, especially because how I was raised. Like my parents wouldn't do that, you know, so I'm used to being treated a certain way, but I have to know, especially me with the, you know, direct personality that I have, the things that I say, how offensive they can be. And so being intentional about, especially knowing that I take into consideration, like, yeah, we might be dating, but after that, you could date somebody else, and I don't want to hurt you in a way that may hurt every other woman that you know, deal with or impact that type of relationship. But
so that's piece number 1, like, or
that wasn't what I was coming from. Yeah, but my piece number 1 or my advice, well, I guess that could be advice. Don't hurt Black men. So I guess my piece number 2 is just to really be grounded in yourself. And I think sometimes when we feel like things aren't working, or you like this person, then things start going left, we like, oh, what can I do to change this? Sometimes y'all just not compatible. And sometimes you gotta come to that realization of, I gotta let you go. Even though I'm fond of you, we cool, but maybe long term this isn't a thing.
You gotta acknowledge the red flags. There's red.
Yeah, but also it don't even. You're not for everybody, but everybody is also not for you. And so being cognizant of like, we just don't mesh. Like you could probably, I think people come into your lives for different reasons. You know, you might think like, oh my God, I find him attractive. Oh my God, these couple things mesh. But maybe we were really meant to be friends. Maybe we were meant to be business partners. You don't know why people come into your life. And I think when people start to date or enter into like, you know, y'all talking or whatever, it's like, oh, we about to go together. Like, no. I go into it like, let's see what this, you know, opportunity may bring. Like, you might be a dog-ass friend in the time that I needed a friend. You know what I'm saying? And so going into it like, I don't own you. You're not beholden to me, that type of thing. Let's see what actually comes out of this. And I think people, when they start talking to someone, it's like, we're going to go together. And so when things don't align so that y'all can be together, it's like, oh, this is nothing. But no, there's value in this relationship. You could be my friend. You could be, you know, we can do whatever, like whatever. And I think people sometimes discard people in that regard because it didn't work out romantically. And I think we have to be a little bit more open-minded to everybody that comes into your life. It's not going to be your man, your girl. It's not going to be a marriage. It's just not going to happen. Some people are just supposed to be experiences, and you're supposed to experience them and then, you know, take what you give, learn, you know, maybe pour into them. They may have needed you more than you actually needed them in that season. That's, you know, you're supposed to be in their life for a reason. And maybe it was just a month. Maybe it was 6 months. Maybe whatever the time period was. But stop going in. And I think thinking that you own people. I think we have this entitlement, this level of entitlement. I think it's unhealthy. And I think it puts us in a place to where it's like, you know, your feelings get hurt real quick. Like, no. I'm just going in to see what this gonna be. I'm trying to hear what God trying to tell me. Are you gonna be my friend? Are you gonna be my man? Like, what is it? Like, you know? And just, you know, being open-minded to that. But I think my second piece is communication, right? Yes. Communicate, right? You don't like something, say that.
I go into it like, I mean, shit, you didn't know me before, so if you're not in my life after this, and I'm just being honest about me, then I mean, I guess it might be, you know, just a loss I might have to take. But instead of me compromising, you know, myself and what I want in the situation, I'd rather just say it. It might hurt your feelings. You know, or it may make you feel away, but I'm always going to be open and communicate in that regard and like let you know. Or even I try to, especially in dating, I ask the question, even not even in dating, in my friendships, what do you need from me? How do you need me to show up for you? And that's really important because, especially me, Little Miss Opinionated, right? I'm like, hey, you need to do it. And I'm very, very assertive, right? But I go in like, Natalia, they didn't need you to tell them what they needed. Sometimes they may have just needed a shoulder to cry on. Absolutely. And sometimes let me take back what I think I want to give you and actually ask you what it is that you need from me. And so I think that communication piece is very essential for any relationship to grow.
Absolutely. And I think too, like with communication, it's important. If I have done something wrong or you've done something wrong, it's important that we communicate that to one another so then that we're able to learn from our mistakes. So like, you know, yes, or like trying to ghost somebody or, you know, just do all these extra stuff. No, let's communicate. Tell me what I did. You know, I'll tell you what you did, and let's have a productive conversation.
Let's talk about how I feel about it, especially Black men. Talk about Natalia. Okay, you was doing a lot.
Hey, you were doing too much. Sis.
All right, guys, tone it down. All right. And if I like you, I'm like, let me
like, okay, Daddy, let me.
Shoot, so Kayla looked like she ready. She like, hold on now.
No. It's funny. It's funny. Again, a little background. Like Natalia is my best friend, right? So it's just funny to hear her like talk about herself out loud, and I'm just knowing I'm like, But also, I think the funny thing between our relationship too is that, I mean, we're talking about relationships in general, right? And again, not only with your man, but again, your best friend. So we are different. Natalia and I are like, we're like opposite, you know, like she's very like direct and I'm not. Like I'm very soft, and she's like, hey, just tell me. And I'm like, okay, well, how should I say this? Like where she's direct. So it's funny how it kind of goes into different areas of your relationship. So again, going to the advice piece though, I think there are three things that I wrote down that kind of they all coincide with each other. But the first one is going to be therapy. Like take time to take time to either go to therapy, get a therapist, or find something that resonates as therapy to you. It may not have to be a therapist, but for me, I love my therapist because I think and Natalia kind of spoke on this too, in your relationships, you're going to see your childhood trauma appear. Absolutely. And words hurt, and you don't necessarily know your trigger until you're triggered. But if you take that time to reflect and learn about why am I this way or how I was raised, or you look at your partner and you're like, dang, okay, we see things differently, but that's not a bad thing, right? It's just, you have to understand you all were raised differently. I come from a single parent household, and I was raised as the only child, but my partner came from a 2-parent household. It was a divorced household later on, but he was also the oldest and a brother of 5 younger siblings, 5 younger sisters at that. So like, I have to recognize that how we look at things in our relationship are going to look, you know, different. Also, take your time. I think as I've grown in my adulthood and as I'm pushing my 30s, I ain't there yet, but as I'm pushing my 30s, I think I've learned that fairy tales don't really exist. And I feel like I'm gonna speak on myself. I feel like I was kind of sold a fairy tale, like, oh, you want to be married by 25 and then have kids and have this beautiful wedding. And I don't believe in fairy tales no more. Now, not to say that like you are not able to have a successful, healthy relationship. That does exist. But again, I think sometimes, again, going back to social media, we can look at people like, wow, I want what they have, not realizing what's really going on behind closed doors, under their roof, you know?
That's not idealized.
Right. Like, so yeah, you can't always look at other couples and say, I want that, because you just really don't know. And so, yeah, just kind of remove that fairy tale idea and create your own fairy tale, if that makes sense. And then also to go off what a point was made earlier, don't steer away from red flags. Like, again, especially when you are in love, I think again, as she mentioned, you can be almost love blind, right? Blinded by love. Like I didn't really understand the songs until I was in love. And I'm like, dang, these words, I'm like, these words hit differently now. Like you can truly, when you love somebody, again, you could be blinded by it, and it's not until you get out that you're like, what was I doing? Like, what was I, But in that time, again, it just, you don't recognize it when you're going through it. No matter who tells you, your parents, your best friends, whomever, like they see it, but you don't see it. So just be careful and don't steer away from red flags.
Keisha, how you feel? 3 pieces of advice.
So 3 pieces. One, I would definitely say, and this is something that I had to learn, take accountability, okay? Because I have hit below the belt so many times and didn't even realize it. And so one thing I've learned just in therapy and divorce and everything is just make sure you take accountability for your own actions. The second thing that I've learned over the last 3 years, the second thing I learned over the last 3 years is don't lose yourself, okay? So when I date, or if I, when I'm talking to someone, I let them know, hey, I'm the oldest of 6. I have 2 boys. I have a lot of cousins. I have a lot of friends. I go out. I travel. I treat myself. I do set their precedent so that they know that when you for example, I go to these doctor dinners once a month. Mm-hmm. One of my exes, he was very jealous about the fact that I was around a bunch of doctors at a dinner, drinking all this other kind of stuff. And it just wasn't that was a red flag, right? And so just make sure that you don't lose yourself. Keep that independency. I enjoy going to the movies with my mom, my sister, and my boys by myself. I got a snuggly in a car, ready to go if I'm going to the movie, because that's my me time. No one's talking to me in the movie theater. No one's bothering me. I get my hour and a half, and it's like a therapy session. And so definitely don't lose yourself. And then the third piece of advice: don't change for anyone. Okay, don't change. I feel like one of the things it's different in regards to making sure that whatever your partner is, whatever they like or whatever they're interested in, that you show some kind of interest or that you're willing to go. For example, I like basketball. I don't necessarily watch it all the time, but I'll go to a game. I'll sit there and watch it with you, that kind of stuff. But making sure that you, dang, accountability, making sure you don't lose yourself, and making sure that you keep that precedence, set those boundaries, family, friends, whatever. Make sure that everyone knows that this is what Keisha does. This is what, if someone asks me to go out of town, they're like, oh yeah, well, she's dating, this person, that kind of stuff. They know that okay, I'm not going to cross over that boundary kind of thing. Yeah. So absolutely.
Shoot. So kind of moving into the next question. So this one, we're going to keep it a little short and sweet. We're going to keep this one nice, but what do you think is the biggest issue with this generation when it comes to dating? If you can go off the top of your head, what comes to your mind first?
I think that we just in this generation, we tend to seek external validation through other things when we're not happy with ourselves. So maybe we're not happy with our job. Maybe we're not happy with where we live, or with just the amount of money that we're bringing in. So we tend to be okay, if I go out, I can see and meet so-and-so and this and this and this. And so you tend to seek out that validation from other people versus you actually taking the time to focus on yourself. And maybe that means going back to school. So then that way you can get into a better job, or saving up to move into a better place, or, put a down deposit on a house. I just think a lot of times we're not happy with where we're at because we're not happy. We seek out the validation from other people and other things. And then that just, it's hard to be in a relationship when you're seeking out external validation from other aspects instead of working on yourself first and foremost.
How about you, Chanel?
I think that everyone is emotionally unavailable and that they don't realize it. I think that everyone thinks that they want something, but they don't know how to be vulnerable enough to get it. So it's between the music that we listen to, right? On both sides, everyone wants to act like they want to live this certain lifestyle, or act like this is how they move, or this is what they want to do. But nobody wants that. At the end of the day, we're human. God made us to be able to, love each other. I am, I'm a Christian.
Hey.
So I will always say, I feel like women come from men, and then women have come from men's rib. And if you think about that, the rib protects the heart. So with that being said, I feel like we just are not able to be vulnerable anymore. Like, men don't show up and, well, some men do. But a lot of times men are not showing up to your job, bringing you flowers, and women are not being vulnerable and telling men, how much it means to them, or, just giving them the support that they need, because everybody's so scared to be hurt. And that's the problem. Nobody knows how to give genuine love anymore. And that's why we can't connect, because you're waiting on me and I'm waiting on you. And we're going to be waiting on each other forever. So I just leave it at that.
That was good.
Natalia, what you got cooking up?
I think though, on one part, I think we always think that we have more options, right? So it's always like this lack of satisfaction as to where we are. I'm definitely pro don't settle. I'm the don't settle queen. Get what you want, live your life. But I think that you're gonna have to understand that everybody comes with a flaw or two, as you do, right? And so thinking about, okay, are these small things something that I can work through versus like, I'm just about to discard you, And I think we're just really quick to discard because we think that we have an abundant amount of options out there. And that goes back to that like social media piece. The second part, if I am going to remember it, yep, it's gone. So the first part. So yeah, let's just go with the first part. Yeah, it's hard following up after her. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was good. That was very good. I'm like, hang on, I take my answer back.
How you feeling, Kayla?
I will say, following up is hard. It's like, dang, yeah, like your thoughts start going everywhere. I have notes back here. Okay, I would say imposter syndrome definitely is a problem. Is an issue that our generation sees every day.
In your opinion, can you define imposter syndrome real quick, just in case if anybody out there doesn't know what that is?
It's hard for me to like define it, and if anyone else want to define it, feel free. But I would say like,
so imposter syndrome is basically like you get in your career and you feel like you're not good enough. So you feel like I'm here, like, but really like. And I personally struggle with it. I have my master's degree. I've passed my clinical board examination, supervision hours. I've done all these things. And even though I had basically a 4.0 in my graduate program, when I'm seeking my clients, I'm like, dang, like, I'm really here. Like, I'm really helping. I know what I'm doing, and you just like, it's like a cognitive distortion that has you believe that like, you're not good enough and this isn't what you have not reached the qualifications that you're supposed to have. And you just feel less than in the situation. Even though there's tons of evidence to prove you're not less than, you still feel like you're less than and you shouldn't be where you're at. Okay. So like,
and that, my
friends, thanks for that, Jill.
That's why
all right, Kayla.
I knew someone would be able retweet. I knew someone would be able to do that. Okay, because I don't have a Twitter. That's the funny part. But because if I had to, I like to keep mine short and sweet. If I had to say what imposter syndrome is, it is all that, but it's also like comparison is the thief of joy. And so you begin comparing yourself. You compare your relationships, and like I said, she really broke it down beautifully, eloquently. You're welcome. Thank you for helping me, process my thought. But yeah, imposter syndrome.
All right. And Keisha?
So I definitely feel like, again, I'm gonna go back to the social media thing of it. I feel like she said, in regards to thinking like the grass is greener on the other side, you think that you're gonna get this, that, and the third, that people are dispendable to you. That even like not even relationships or situationships, but like family, friends, everything. And so I feel like, in regards to like loving and being genuine and things like that, you really don't meet a lot of people like that, unfortunately. And because most people are so scared of being hurt, because hurt people, and you don't even realize you end up hurting a person, but because you didn't take the time to like reflect and go through your therapy and heal and everything, you end up hurting the next person. But because hurt people, it's easy to just be like, okay, well, that didn't work, like next, it's one of those things. Again, we were joking about having a roster. Like a lot of us on this
this panel right here, we aren't for everybody, and we don't have like this list of people that like, I'm for him, I'm for him, I'm for him, you know, that kind of stuff. It's like, I'm for me, and I'm gonna be who I'm with. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
and so I really think that like social media has allowed us to feel like we have entitlement to, you know, like, oh, I'm arguing with my girlfriend, I'm arguing with my husband, whatever, and I'm gonna go to social media and I'm gonna get whatever I'm missing, that 20% that I'm missing, I'm gonna get it from them. But then if the messed up part is you go for 20, you mess up the 80 that you have. So
shoot. So
Absolutely.
y'all talking about having rosters. What would you say is your most like toxic trait?
All right.
No, we gonna be honest. What would you?
Whoa.
No.
Pause for intermission.
So what would you say is your most toxic trait? And I don't know if somebody has something come first. First come, first serve. But what would you?
I go with my toxic trait.
Absolutely.
I got a list.
we taking back here, okay? We're gonna make sure.
No, I think my toxic trait has to be like my mouth. But my mouth is a reflection of my personality. And I'm very assertive. And it is never to mean harm. But what I've realized is that to people who are maybe a little bit more insecure, a little less than, I've dated men who told me like, you intimidate me. Like, that don't have nothing to do with me.
Like a them problem. That's a them problem.
With you.
Yeah.
But I know that sometimes I hear myself and I'm like, tell you, all right, dial it back. Like, but I don't mean any harm. I'm always like trying to be supportive. Whether it's my friends, I'm on their ass about whatever they need to do or holding them accountable. But I have a very assertive personality, and sometimes to people who, you know, may not receive that as well, like it can come across very hard.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else know off the dome what y'all toxic trait is?
I'm very assertive as well. And I'm also like a pretty passionate person. So like I used to speak a lot out of my emotions. And my emotions change a lot. So it's like I don't notice my tone. Well, I'm working on it now. I've been paying attention to it now. But a lot of times I haven't noticed my tone as my tone. So this is not just a relationship thing. This is just a thing in general. Like, a lot of times I'll be yelling and I don't even know I'm yelling. I just feel like I'm just talking and I don't even realize how loud I'm talking. So that's one thing. But when it comes to my relationships, my toxic trait is I'm a runner. Like, I look at, like, my relationships and I'm like, this ain't working.
She's a track star.
This not working for me. I want my peace. I don't want to have to put in so much work to be upset and then it still not go the way that I want it to. I could just be by myself and be fine. We're done. And then I just do that. But I know it's not right. Like, yeah, that's not healthy. So
shoot, Ashley, you know what's yours?
So I'd say like I just love too hard. I love way too hard. I think sometimes like I am so quick to put your needs before my own, and I think like that can be detrimental to myself because I'm so quick to worry about like, oh, did you eat? Like, are you good? Like, I cooked. Do you want a plate? Like, hey, you know, and so like, right. And I haven't ate, but I'm gonna make sure you ate, you know, I'll make sure you're taken care of. So sometimes I feel like, I've always been really good at kind of being conscientious about like, you know, the things that I say and kind of taking the time to like pause and think before I talk. However, like, I will make sure like I give you my last and like, I might have to figure it out, you know, but I'm gonna make sure you're straight.
Yeah.
And so I think like, that can be very detrimental, like within myself and like having to realize like, if you're worried about this person and this person's worried about this person, who's worried about you?
Yeah.
Nobody. Like, you know, so realizing like you have to worry about yourself and let somebody else worry about them instead of putting their needs before you. And so like, I've been working on it. That's definitely my most toxic trait.
Okay, I got this. I was thinking, like, should I just ask Natalia because she don't know? But I was like, no, because I don't want her to call me out. So look, no, thank you. Never mind. I figured it out. I really think my most toxic trait is, I'm gonna put it under the word distance. Okay, and I'm gonna explain what I mean by distance. So, like, and this was past Kayla. When something would go wrong, you know, I would run away, right? This like more than 24 hours. I would run away. I would run away from my problems instead of addressing them head on. admire people who can be like, listen, it's an issue and that's what we about to do about it. I admire that. I haven't yet gotten there, but I'm working towards it. So I used to distance myself, but also I would distance myself like in ways of being self-sufficient. So I'm like, okay, if you can't do it, no worries, I'll figure it out. I'll do it myself. I like, again, growing up in a single parent household with my mother, seeing how strong, how many sacrifices she made to make sure I always had, I now see at times I don't need a man to do what I'll do. I'll figure it out for myself. And that can be so toxic because at the end of the day, I do need a partner. I need a partner because when you have two minds, it's always going to be greater than one, right?
Facts.
So the distance, I'm working on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dr.
So
Keisha.
like she said, like our grandmother always told us like 2 heads are better than one. I definitely feel like one of my toxic traits, because I do have a few.
We just gotta touch on one. That's all.
Yeah, no.
We just need one.
It's like
girl.
no,
You ain't
it's
gotta
like
go
she
elaborate.
said. I'm a little too passive. I'm too nice. All my friends, even like new people that come into my life, they're like, you are like, I've never been in a fight before. Okay. Like ever. No. Never. Like, I don't like to argue. I will sweep something under the rug. The problem is you sweep stuff under the rug and you start tripping over those things because, everything starts
Let me write that down.
Everything start adding up and you're like, oh, well, it's okay. He did this, but it's okay. He did that. It's okay. And you start like trying to ignore it. But the problem is like the red flags turn to fire later. And I do feel like because I am so passive and I don't like to argue, I don't like confrontation. Like I don't like I'll go somewhere and if someone says something like, I'm not knucking if you bucking, I'm just walking off. Cause like I don't want to. Like I just don't have, like I come from a very like, and not saying people who don't, but like I do come from a very like loving family. We were raised to walk in love and you be nice to everyone. And if someone isn't being nice to you, you ignore it and all that kind of stuff. But what I'm teaching my boys is that yes, you walk in love, but you let somebody know if they're crossing the line, you let them know, and I do like, that's one thing that I'm like working on now, but yeah, I would. Yeah,
and I'm gonna hit everything on the head. What did you say? What was said? Say it again.
And I'm like, don't say it again.
So let's, this is gonna be the very last question, and we're gonna keep it real short. But what, like in
saying keep it short, like we talking too
no,
much.
y'all. I'm saying y'all hitting on some solid points. Like it's nothing but speaking from the heart, and we definitely appreciate it. But I know some people got to go some places right now. That's the only reason I said that.
Sounds like he got to go.
No, it's not me. It's not me.
Because we wasn't done.
No, it's not me. It's not me.
More questions.
But very last question though. So from your experience, what is the most important thing to have a successful relationship? Like one thing, if you had to say it off the top of your head, what is the most important thing?
Take accountability. Take accountability. I would be like take accountability. Like I used to hit below the belt. I feel like I always point the finger. If someone said something, because I am a physician, I feel like there's always a reason behind stuff. So this person did this, but the reason I did or a reason they did is because of this. But really looking back and like self-reflecting, like take accountability for yourself. Take the time to heal so that way when a partner does come into your life, you're ready to receive them. Everyone talks about like, oh, I want to be married. I want to do this. I want to do that. But like, are you ready for what God has for you? Like seriously, like, so make sure that you take accountability for the toxic traits that you may have and you work on them and you recognize and you communicate. One of the things that we're taught when we're younger is how to speak and how to talk, right? But it's one thing that we don't do because we always feel like we're either going to hurt the other people's feelings or maybe we do it a little too much and we hit below the belt and stuff like that. So I would definitely say take accountability for your own actions.
And at some point, I think adding to that, you have to there's certain things that are hindering your growth as a person. At some point, you have to acknowledge it, and you can't keep blaming, oh, well, my parents and they never did X, Y, and Z. Like, no, you need to take accountability for the things that are hindering your growth as like a person, and so yeah, I think that taking accountability is key. Absolutely.
I say communication just because I feel like sometimes like I just feel so many things and I don't know how to say what I feel. So I just say something in a moment and it's not really what I feel. So I have to go back and think, on it. But like as somebody who like is very assertive, I'm around, like I have a best friend that's passive too. And so like she will sometimes get so overwhelmed and like so like just because she don't know what to say, but sometimes it's almost like I'll have to speak for her. But it's so frustrating because I've had to like, since we've been friends, I've had to like pull it out of her, like just tell me, it's not gonna hurt my feelings, just tell me how you feel. But I've always had to be like that in relationships too, and I just feel like a lot of people don't know how to communicate because they feel like, you know them people that say things and they're like, don't let me say something because I'm gonna hurt somebody's feelings. You know, it's like just learning how to communicate with someone, but also communicating with them and understanding the way that their family or they're used to being communicated with. Because you could just say something to someone and they're not gonna take it how you mean it. So, you know, study the person you're with and communicate with them based off of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So, little antidote. The other day I went and did a solo date after work. I went and got Cold Stone, and there was this older couple, and they walked past, but it was kind of like everybody was occupying all the tables outside, and so they went and sat in their car, and I was like, they rolled their windows down, so I was like, hey, y'all want to come sit with me? And they was like, oh, thank you. And, you know, I was sitting there talking to them, and one of the things I asked them, they had been married 25 years, but this wasn't their first marriage, and so I asked them, like, what was the thing that made, you know, this marriage successful? And they said, or the woman said it for both of them, which is cute, right? And she was like, when you met this person, you know, you may have liked red and they may have liked blue. You can't come in making them like red and, you know, they can't come in making you like blue. Like, y'all are individuals at the end of the day. And so when people get in relationships, they start to try to change people, and you got to let people be who they are. And when you signed up in this, you know, relationship, situationship, whatever it is, like, you knew who this person was. Thinking that you can change people is your issue, right? And so taking that into consideration of, like, you know what you're getting yourself into. You know, you saw the red flags. You wanted to ignore them, but, you know, you got to take people for who they are. And I think that's it, like, letting people be who they are. And I want people to be who they are. That's why, like, going in, I don't like, if you don't know me already, if you haven't seen my social media, I don't like you to see it, because I find that a lot of people try to, like, amount to what they think I will want or whatever, or know too much initially, because people are trying to size themselves up. I want you to be genuinely who you are, and time will tell if we're compatible or not. Like, and so I think that's kind of just being yourself, being your authentic self, and allowing that person to be their authentic self. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, let it go. So yeah.
Shoot, how about you, Kayla?
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it short, but again,
My
going
bad.
back to what
I wasn't trying to press it like that. That's my bad.
I gotta keep it short, but no, I'm going back to my first answer that I said. In my opinion, that success comes from a partnership, right? A relationship is a partnership. And I think, again, what I've learned in my previous relationships is that I hate to say it, but, like, a relationship is a business. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, that's your partner. You chose to go through life with this partner. And so, for example, like, let's say, there will be days where you want to knock your partner upside the head, you know what I'm saying? But because it's so much bigger, it's so much bigger than love, right? Like, to me, like, if you take love out of it, like, what's left, right? So I don't know. I feel like that has made this relationship that I'm in successful so far, just because I recognize it's more than just love. Because there will be their days where you know, it may not be all rainbows, sunshines, and flowers, but it's like, at the end of the day, I'm like, you still my best friend. Like, we still rocking, like, and we gonna get through this hurdle in the road, like, and we gonna come out stronger. Like, as long as we both have the want and drive to be successful, then it will.
I think that goes back to just, like, making sure that you're yourself, right? Be yourself. Don't change for anyone. I know how I'm going to, like, what I'm going to tell my boys when they get older: spend your 20s dating, getting to know yourself, getting yourself set financially, you know, don't rush into something, making sure that you're, you know, that you're steady, right? That you're stable. And so that way you can pour into someone that you meet and they can pour into you, you know, so just make sure you're yourself and you take accountability, for sure.
Well, and I think too, like, adding on, I think accountability is definitely key, but I would also say another important thing is, like, unconditional regard. So there might be days where, like, I'm hangry, or days where I show up with the attitude and I'm like, hey, here you go, you know, like, or, you know, so I feel like in those moments, I might need a Snickers. Right, feed me. So I feel like during those moments where I show up and I have an attitude or I do something that you don't like, I think I need you to show me compassion and unconditional regard, and being like, you know, like, yeah, you got an attitude, or yeah, you know, you were kind of wildin'. But at the same time, you know, like I still rock with you. Like I'm still gonna give you compassion and do all of those things, instead of being like, oh, she got an attitude, so, you know, like I'm about to, I'm good. Exactly. Let me go on social media. I'm gonna find someone quick. You know, like offering compassion, and you know, you gotta work for what you want. So.
Yeah. No, I don't think y'all truly understand like how insightful this whole conversation has been. Like I've never actually seen a group of beautiful Black women in the same room having this type of conversation. But no, I don't know. Me and Dev been talking about this for a minute, and we like, bro, Sunday's about to happen. Like we just excited about it. So we truly are grateful for y'all being a part of Manifestors and just you know taking the time out of y'all day to be a part of this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for this exclusive invite. For this fan selection, I am truly honored to be here. Honestly, okay.
We appreciate Keisha for hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keisha.
And Devin over here, you know, y'all, I know you seen him on the
two.
camera.
And he made us a fire drink.
With the breakfast going through.
Okay.
Can I get a refill?
Oh, facts.
Okay.
Wait, hold up.
I'm scared.
Whoa.
I got comments for everybody.
Okay, come on, let's hear it.
No, not another episode, part 3.
We got time.
I got a Q&A.
Yeah.
Part 3.
We will be back.
But no, definitely appreciate it. And this is Manifestors episode 9.
Feedback.
Right.
Can we at least get
But
some
you-
offline
that-
feedback? You might not
Right.
have
You
to
said
have
the
questions.
feedback.
Yeah. Like y'all honest feedback of like, okay, well, men don't like this, even though you said that you do this. Like,
Oh no, we actually have we're gonna set up a whole nother episode to touch on that. But all of us
you gonna invite us back, or we out the cut?
Yeah, no, y'all.
What's going on?
So that episode is pretty much going to be like a battle.
Like a reunion.
Everybody.
yeah, let's do it.
So it's
I'm ready.
When y'all was like talking, I was like picturing like, damn, who all would partner y'all up with, like for the males.
Well, we got room, okay?
We ready.
We
We ready.
Okay, we got room.
It's gonna be fun.
Tate's cooking us breakfast. We in here.
We in here.
But no, for real though. Definitely appreciate y'all. Like it goes without words. It can't even describe it for real.
Thank
But,
you.
Thank you both
I was so
for
nervous.
having us and creating this platform.
Absolutely.
I absolutely love listening to y'all on a regular basis. I love hearing, you know, just the conversations you have as men, and I think of our generations that it speaks volumes to be able to force yourself and put yourself in this place to be able to talk out things. I think that's one of the biggest. Here I go. Here comes the soapbox.
I think, you know, as a generation, though, we see, you know, spikes in crime because people don't know how to conflict resolve and talk out things and talk about how they feel. And I appreciate how vulnerable you guys allow yourself to be publicly, you know, and just creating that village. And I know something you talked about was really just kind of like building that network with like your friends. And like you talked about like how women do it all the time. And like, you know, we're so communicative and, you know, we do the girls trips and stuff. And like wanting to cultivate that with your guys. And so I appreciate you just as an individual taking that step, and you guys collectively doing that. So
Absolutely.
love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely grateful.
Okay.
But no, I don't
Giving
know if
y'all flowers and stuff.
Yeah.
But hey, that's Manifestors episode 9. Grateful for y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.